Hello, everybody. I'm Jenny Mack, back again. It is still summer in South Dakota and way too hot out. But today I'm super excited because I've met somebody. As always, I'm always super excited to do these, but I've met somebody who has probably experienced every climate around the world so much more than I have. And they're not originally from South Dakota, but I'm really interested in finding out how they came to be here and how they came into the career that they are involved in. As everybody knows, I started this project during COVID because I got lonely and bored and wanted to talk to people and meet new people. And it has bloomed into such a fun way to learn all kinds of things that I never thought I would encounter before. And this is for sure one of them. This was not on my bucket list. You know, everybody knows I have my bucket list. I want to talk to somebody from every county in South Dakota. I wanted to talk to a librarian, a mechanic, a barber, a chef, a teacher. I've just all these different things. What I never had on my bucket list was a merchant marine. And by coincidence, I've recently met one. And I said, "Oh, sir, I have questions." And so I'm very excited to bring on the screen with me Tim. Hi, Tim.
Hello.
So, I think I knew Tim for about 30 seconds and started asking him merchant marine questions because I had so many questions. So I'm glad you agreed to this because we can condense it all down.
Sure. Happy to be here.
So first, you are here in South Dakota and
am, yes.
are a South Dakota resident now.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you come to be here? Because what state are you originally from?
I'd say I'm originally from Indiana. Grew up there since I was 6.5, I guess, and up until I was in my mid-20s. After high school, did a little bit of community college, and then it's just I need to do something more after working at a Domino's for 2 years, which got me my car, and then I moved out to Iowa before trying to find out, or before realizing that ships were something that I really liked in general, and how could I try to get onto one.
And that's where we come to my curiosity of how does a merchant marine end up in the middle of the Midwest? And you told me that you picked South Dakota for a very specific reason, and that a lot of people with international type jobs like yours choose states like mine, and that's because
there's no state income tax.
So basically, you make more money.
I can make more money doing it this way, yes. But at the same time, I would have been fine had I gone up to Connecticut, which I think also has no state income tax. Delaware has no state sales tax. Florida has no state income tax, I believe. And I want to say there's a few number of states that have that same sort of
bracketing
situation.
System.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure that I had seasons to go to every once in a while, because I'm not a fan of the heat, and a lot of sailors do like the heat, or at least they like Florida for whatever other
when they are on land, they want very dry land.
Probably, yeah. Although I wouldn't say Florida is all that dry either, because it's all swampy and gets hurricanes.
Yep.
Not my selection.
Yeah, here we get to have, sometimes we get to have all the seasons in a week. I've worn shorts in February and then had to shovel out of a blizzard the next day. So we can have all of the seasons in a week here.
That's very true. I did like it a couple years ago when I was here for a winter, and just about every week there was another couple inches of snow. That was just really nice, because over in Indiana nowadays, at least in where I grew up in the Lafayette area, snow only ends up being a little bit of frost, maybe once or twice a season.
Oh, wow.
And that's been more and more the case over the couple decades that I was living there.
See, and I feel like we've had less fall and spring. Our fall and spring have gotten very short. Our summer has gotten very long and hot, and our winter has gotten very long and cold. I feel like fall and spring were longer seasons when I was a kid. but also maybe when I was a kid, my concept of time was probably different. I really can't tell if that's just my personal view or if the weather data substantiates my feelings.
Uh, Unfortunately, I can't help support one way or the other because I'm not onshore usually long enough to be able to make a personal measurement like that.
Right. So tell us, I will tell you that as far as knowing what a merchant marine does or was,
Hmm.
and somebody else that I talked about this interview asked the question. They said, is that a military job? Is that a government job? It's I think that we as Americans associate the word Marines with a military branch,
Hmm.
but yet merchant sounds like a sales branch. And then
Yeah.
also just the idea of somebody from a landlocked state having a job where they're at sea. So what's the general layperson's description of what a merchant marine is?
I would probably say that a merchant mariner is a sailor who works on a ship in some capacity, whether as an officer of the deck department, an officer in the engineering, or could be part of the galley staff, the kitchen department, um, or it could be any one of those departments, but the underlings, basically, which is currently where I'm at right now. I'm in the deck department. I'm an able-bodied sailor, so my tasks typically uh, my tasks typically end up being maintenance when I'm doing general tasks around the ship. So I'll chip rusted paint off, and then uh, uh, sorry, brain is dying. I'll uh, I'll just put down new, fresh paint in order to help make things looking better later on. It usually is a day or two process if done quickly and right. Sometimes, if an officer wants it done even more right, then it might take a week or more. Um, but other tasks that I do in my department, I could be a watchstander, which means that I'm up on the bridge, and I could be keeping an eye out for any ships or any other navigational hazards. Or I could be on the helm, taking direction from the captain, the mate, or the pilot. Um, or I could be on the gangway, making sure that people who are supposed to come on do, and those who are not supposed to come on do not.
So
Uh,
you would keep the stowaways off.
yes,
Yeah.
and I do have a story about that.
Oh, roll into it. I was just going to say, what if somebody wanted to be a stowaway? How would you?
What
How should they do it?
uh, I don't know the how to do it, but I do know that I want to say it was when I was on a ro-ro, which is a car carrier. Basically, think a uh, car carriers tend to be 11 or 12 decks of actual cargo space, and just think of it like a garage, like you would in a
Like
parking
a
area.
parking garage on sea on a
Pretty
boat,
much, yeah.
as
And the
as physically tall as a parking garage too, on
oh,
a boat.
taller,
Okay, that's
yeah.
hard to visualize.
Yeah, 12 decks. Both car carriers that I've been on were almost 200 meters. So that's basically think a little more than two football fields. So that's a lot of cargo space for various vehicles. Could be a bunch of firefighting or fire trucks. It could be a bunch of heavy lifting cranes.
Oh wow.
It could be thousands upon thousands of Mercedes or Toyotas or sports cars or whatever. Um,
I
all of
guess
this,
I guess I never really thought about it, but that's how they get here for us to
yeah.
buy, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's not like they come in a box with IKEA type instructions and someone assembles them over here.
Not usually, no. I mean, maybe some of the various parts, if they're being assembled somewhere, might be in containers on other ships that are even longer or smaller. It all depends on the ship.
Yeah.
Um, but let's see. On the Roro, I want to say This was when I was on the Liberty. Was the name of the ship? We were in, I want to say it was Greece. I might not be getting the exact place right. I know it was in the Mediterranean. The first time I've been in the Mediterranean ever. And we were done for the day. I was on my night shift. I was on my night watch, and just 3 guys end up strolling up the aft ramp, bold as anything, and I'm sitting off to the side, and I watch them duck behind a whole bunch of dunnage, a bunch of spare wood and things to be used either for keeping vehicles in place, perhaps, or for repairs if we need to get a quick patch onto something. And because I watched them go back there, and there were 3 of them and 1 of me, I figured, okay,
Phone a
I
friend.
can't do this. I can't do this on my own. Second mate, I see 3 stowaways who just went behind the dunnage in the port quarter. Do you mind coming down and help me out with getting them off the ship? And so he said, yeah, give me a few minutes. And so he has to walk down the 7 decks in order to get onto the main deck. And I'm much more confident at that point with 2 of us against their 3, and they realized they've been had. They walked off without a fuss. Both of us keeping an eye on them. It's just that was
Get off my boat,
that. Pretty much. I've heard other stories where other sailors have to deal with even more creative stowaways.
What if you had already got out to sea? Would they have to like go to the clink and be under arrest on the boat? Like, what if somebody discovered them and you're in the middle of the ocean?
Well, then you have to take care of them. I mean, humanitarianism. That actually kind of goes into a story that I was thinking of, where before I got on this ship, I guess on a previous voyage, the crew had encountered a stowaway who did manage to make it on board while they were at sea.
Oh, wow.
And the way he did it was, most car carriers, when you look at them, they actually have 2 ramps, one on typically the starboard side, the right side, and one on the starboard quarter, the back right corner of the ship. And this guy, according to the officers that told the story, they had said that this guy went into the crevice between where the ramp actually was standing up. So he was hanging out in here for about a week, I'm gonna guess.
He hid for a week?
It was more than a day or 2. And the ship by then had already pulled out, gone out to sea.
Right.
And after he sees that, well, I can't really do anything safely down here anymore. I need to climb up and actually try to get some fresh water, because salt water is not going to do anything good for your health.
Right.
So he climbed up. He made it into one of the lifeboats and hung out in there for a little while. And it was during one of the safety inspections that the 3rd mate, and I would assume either 3rd or 2nd engineer, offhand, I don't know which engineer is responsible for the mechanical safety of the ship. But at the very least, the 3rd mate and I think someone else found out that, oh, we've got some open packs of safety water in our lifeboat. What's going on? They found the guy later on drinking from a puddle of water on the deck. And they had to keep him on board for a while before they reached their next port.
Right. Yeah, you can't just be like, pitch him overboard, tell him to swim for it.
No, that's kind of a international law of sea. If you happen to find someone, you have to rescue them.
Oh, wow.
Whether they got onto your ship with your knowledge or not.
And how long what's your span of time between, like, how long of a break do you get between being out at sea and being on land? Like,
but between contracts being on ships, or
hiatus, how long are you on land usually?
I typically have tried to keep my shoreside time. I'd say I try to limit it to at most 3 months. I've been trying to keep it shorter, 1 to 2 months, so that yes, I get time to unwind and get back to my own personal sense of being. But with my future goals, I've been trying to just get back out there as soon as I could. So I've been trying to limit it to 1 to 2 months. It hasn't always worked out that way, but that's always been the goal. And
what's the longest you've ever been on a ship actually at sea, between leaving this port and getting to your next port? Is that a time that's hours or days, or what's What's the shortest and the longest?
Uh, let's see. Shortest time span I would probably say would be sailing either between Charleston to Savannah, which I think is only about it's less than 12 hours of transit once you leave the pilotage. As to the longest, that would actually be my last ship where I got on the ship in Japan. We sailed through the Philippines and got to Singapore. We were there for about a month and a half for refits, just doing general maintenance tasks that the ship needs undertaking for things that you can't usually do when you're at sea. So, you need to do extensive engine repair. That's the time to do it, for
Right.
example. Um, but after that, we went over to India, which was just a couple days. I think a week at most, if it was. But then from India, we sailed south around Africa in order to deliver our cargo up to Canada, and that took us 35 days.
So for 35 days, that boat was at sea, not
Yes,
just in a dock. You did not have a choice to touch land. You're in the
very.
middle of the ocean.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, this is where we get to the nitty gritty then.
Oh boy.
Jenny is obsessed with cryptids. So while you were at sea for 35 days,
hmm
what's the weirdest thing you saw in the ocean? Tell me you saw the Kraken.
I did not see the Kraken that time. It was hiding from me. I mean, we're only right at sea level. It's got who knows how many miles of
Fathoms in
of
depth.
water.
Yeah.
It's got so many fathoms, so many leagues. No, league is a more of a horizontal distance as opposed to fathom.
What's a knot?
A knot is it's a little more than a mile an hour. I don't remember exactly right. I want to say it has something. It's a measurement of speed.
Knot is a rate of speed, and fathoms
Yes.
and leagues are a rate of distance and depth, right?
Fathom is distance. Yes. Fathom is fathom is 6 feet, typically used for depth, and league is a distance from typically in a horizontal fashion. I didn't realize it until reading the book 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea that that's actually about the distance that the Nautilus was traveling, not necessarily the depth.
But it did its traveling underwater, so it's a league, not a mile.
Yes.
Yeah, that's literally that book. That's my knowledge of the sea. Moby Dick. That's my knowledge of the sea.
I've not read Moby Dick yet. I intend to.
I am a landlocked girl. I have, and even though I live on land,
Mhm.
I have what I didn't learn until I was adult is sometimes called deep water fear. I don't like lakes because unless it's a very clear lake, once I reach the level of water where you can no longer see below the water, so even if that's ankle deep, and a lot of the lakes in South Dakota are silty,
Yeah.
I do not like it anymore. I don't want to swim. I don't want to go any farther. I don't like not being able to see. So I prefer like rivers and streams because the water's always moving and you can often see. Even if you can't see, I feel like it's moving. So there's nothing like hovering under me waiting to drag me to the depths.
Yeah.
So I just know that like when people talk about going on a cruise and things, I'm like pirates, krakens, no. Bermuda Triangle, no. Have you been to the Bermuda Triangle?
I think I have sailed within or near it, but I didn't see anything weird. No alien ships to
that you know of.
up.
The
That I
boat
know of.
got pulled up into the sky and they erased your memory and put you back down.
They very well could have done that, and I just don't remember it. But from what I remember, I did not see anything weird. I have heard some theories that it could be that there's actually a whole lot of geological activity under the surface that, for whatever reason, makes buoyancy in that area
variable.
Kind of, a bit variable, and so ships end up somehow sinking because maybe there's a huge air pocket that happens to come up right underneath them, and because the ship is not designed to be in the air without pressure on all sides, that bubble ends up doing serious damage to the hull.
Well, that's a science boat fact I did not know.
That's what we learned when we were doing government vessels in the apprentice program that I went through, because they were going off that particular part of class was about what to do to repair a vessel if it happens to be damaged in some fashion. What are the ways that that a ship could be damaged? And one of the things they went over was ships being torpedoed. Back in World War I and World War II, and even during the Civil War, it was more of a direct impact. The torpedo has to actually hit the hull in order to trigger the explosive, which will do damage into the hull of the ship itself.
Right.
Nowadays, I think this was developed during World War II or around that time. I don't know my history extensively well on that, but it was, I want to say, during World War II that torpedoes were developed that could explode beneath the target, so that the pressure of the bubble and the lack of water underneath, in order to help keep the ship in the water, is pressed away, and that pressure bubble deals reverberating damage to the hull itself, causing potentially more stress.
Right. And then everybody goes down. There's no time to try and reinforce the hull because the whole, it's everything.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh.
And so the Bermuda Triangle could have something similar going on with it in that way. I don't know. I haven't sunk in a ship yet.
I'm also a little bit on the bandwagon that the aliens have been in the ocean the whole time, so maybe they're just like playing air hockey down there too. Who knows?
Who knows? Pacific Rim might have been a bit more clairvoyant than we give it credit for.
I like to live in such a suspended imagination when I'm on my downtime that I consider the movie The Meg to be a science documentary.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yes.
That's the one with the underwater base, right?
Yes, with megalodon sharks.
Yeah.
What about creatures, known creatures? How much, like when you're out in the middle of the ocean, do you ever see anything come crest out of the water? Have you like gone through whale zones and things like that?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of different whales that we do always need to keep our eyes out for. I want to say it's the northeast coast of North America, where I can't remember specifically the type of whale it is, but there's a specific whale that all ships need to slow down for, so that if there's any sort of collision between whale and ship, the
whale will survive.
The whale will hopefully survive if it doesn't necessarily die immediately, though, because I mean ships are big.
It's big, yeah.
Well, whales are bigger than us, but ships are bigger, and ships have a lot more mass to slow down. Whales can dive underwater easily.
So is the goal because the type of whale is a protected animal, or is the goal?
I think so, yeah.
It's. I was going to say there. I suppose also there's an element of not wanting to put a risk to the ship.
Yeah, although I have heard. I have heard that when you're on a ship, when you're on the bridge, you can't necessarily see everything that's immediately ahead of you. I mean, when you're looking forward, well, there's also kind of like how trucks have no see zones directly behind them. Ships have that also from the bottom point of the bow. So everything, when the bridge is up here and you're looking down at the bow, there's still this whole area here that they cannot see. So if say a pod of dolphins or a pod of whales happens to be swimming right there at that moment, you might not find out that you've actually hit something until you reach port. And say other ships look at your bulbous bow and go, "Hey, you've got something sticking on the bow. What's that?"
Like the dolphin might be stuck to it?
I mean, it might be stuck on it or maybe sitting on top of it.
Oh, I would cry. I would be the weakest sailor. I would be like, "Oh, Flipper." I would not be able to handle that.
What was the name of that killer whale?
Willy.
Willy, yeah.
I'm on Team Orca. I side with the animals.
Animals are always good. But I also have seen two manta rays on the surface. I want to say, I can't remember if I was in the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean or even the Indian Ocean. But we were just sailing along. We had two crew on the starboard side near the bridge who were just doing some general maintenance. It was my turn for watch on the bridge. And I look out and there's just a whole line of a current going pretty much across the horizon, about probably I'd say 15 miles out or more. And there was one small patch that I just couldn't quite figure out what it was. And it wasn't getting any taller, because if you look at a ship on the horizon, the either the crane mast or the bridge or whatever will eventually crest the horizon, and you'll be able to see the hull as the ships get closer together. But this thing was staying on the surface, and I just couldn't figure out what it was until we got close enough and see, okay, that's not working with the current or against the current. So that must be something else. And so I'm starting to think, okay, is this perhaps an emergency that we'll need
Something's
to?
coming at the ship.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
could be a stranded boat. It could be a refrigerator. I have seen that. Just floating in the ocean, door side up, no door on it. So it must not have gotten hit by any rain or anything. But it's just, yeah, that was floating by, really weird. Second mate wasn't believed, but I said, no, I saw that too. That was a refrigerator.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but no, this other thing that was out there as we got closer, I want to say it was probably a couple miles out, 4, maybe 3 miles away. I finally realized, oh no, that's a pair of manta rays just floating on the surface, just moving along and just doing their own
Flapping
thing.
your way across the sea.
Yeah,
Wow.
that
Well, and
that is probably the coolest thing I've seen aside from bioluminescence at night. That's also pretty cool.
and bioluminescence and things like seeing manta rays and things like that, that totally, in my logical brain, I know that's
Mhm.
why we have sea monster stories, because like you're saying, the horizon, the sun, the moon, the sea, the time of day, the angle of it, and the distance. I can't imagine what things at sea look like. And it, when you got home and described it to somebody,
Mhm.
like how would you describe that if no one on land, if you went to somewhere where they didn't know what a manta ray was, and
Sure.
and where you, maybe you didn't know what a manta ray was, and
Mhm.
also maybe you had been at sea living off rum and dry bread. Who knows how you're going to describe things when you get
Yeah.
home?
Uh,
So I do totally understand how the cryptid stories exist, because
mhm.
yeah, how do you frame of mind, what would you explain that refrigerator as, and if it was the first time you ever saw something like that.
Yeah. I mean, if I would if I were to see if we were to do a little bit of time travel shenanigans with this, and I were in a tall ship, what we currently nowadays call tall ships were the classic sailing ships of old, with 3 masts, huge square sheets of canvas in order to help uh, take the ship forward in whatever direction the captain needs. If I were to be a sailor at that time, and I were to see a refrigerator sail just float by, I'd probably
Right.
go, Bob, I think I just saw an open ice cube.
Right.
I,
Right.
I mean, it's
or
white.
or a
We're,
floating
we're up in the,
coffin.
yeah. And Bob goes, well, why is there a coffin there? I don't know. Maybe the person jumped out.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, we shouldn't be concerned there's a coffin there. We should wonder where the dude that was in it went.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite sort of gothic tales is, and I cannot remember the name of it right now, but it's an adjacent story to the Dracula
Hmm.
novel, is about the ship that Dracula sails on and
Oh.
kills everybody on the ship while he's at sea.
Hmm.
And then it lands as a ghost ship, and but
Oh.
that's how he survives, is he eats everybody on the ship. So
A little bit of cannibalism there. Nothing wrong with
what's your
that. Sometimes.
what's your favorite place that you've ever been to?
Um. So, because of my watch schedule, my definition of place I've been to probably don't necessarily align with the typical visitor type motif.
Right, because you're not a
Uh,
tourist, you're on the clock.
yeah, I'm on the clock, and even when I'm off watch or not, when I'm during non-working hours, I still only typically have a maximum of 8 hours to myself. 12 if I'm lucky. On some ships, uh, work schedules that have a 12-hour free period and then 12 hours of active work. But typically, I only have about 8 hours to myself. So for me, I'd probably say, with that caveat, the coolest place I've been to was on the east coast of Africa. I don't specifically remember which port it was, but we were pulling in, and the river is very S-curved up into the actual port area. Um, and the pilot's just being all cool and casual and very calm, and just says, "All right, so go ahead and give her a little left rudder, about 10 left." So I turn the rudder to the left, and keeping in mind this is on my first car carrier, not the Liberty. This was a different one, um, but this ship is, I don't remember exactly how wide it is, but it's, I'd say probably,
It
but it's
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 not it's not like where you can shift just increments with a car or a bicycle. Like,
right.
am I right in visualizing it that like a small shift with a boat is many feet of activity?
Oh yeah, absolutely
Okay.
it is. Now I'll get to Helmwork and or more details on Helmwork in a second, because I mean this can lead straight into it. Um, I can't remember the exact width of the it wasn't the Liberty. It was the Pride. No, not the Pride of America. Yes, it was the Liberty. Yes, it was the Liberty. Sorry, I've been on I'd say 12 or 13 different ships in my
Oh,
career
wow.
so far. So sometimes remembering which one an instance happened in gets a little bit uh, messed up.
They were all
Um,
on the water. That you know for sure.
I know that for sure. Um, but anyways, because this river was so narrow, the channel for the ship's so narrow, and the ship is only a couple feet narrower on either side than the channel, we had to be very precise. And so when that pilot gave specific instructions, I was on it, and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm following his directions as specifically and as instantly as I possibly can. And we've got two resorts on either side of us, some restaurants or whatever, that are just hanging out with jet skis, and we're just going by in a big 200-meter ship that's just causing some nice little waves for everyone to have fun with or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Uh, but yeah, that was an interesting time. And then going into, I think this one might even beat that East African port. Going into Zeebrugge, Belgium.
Oh,
Um, the pilot came on board and he said, "All right, so we're going to be coming up on the breakwater. Breakwaters are just like what you would have, frankly, in a mop bucket, where there's that wall in the middle of it in order to help make the water slosh around a whole lot less. In the case of ports, the breakwater helps make sure that the river inlet is much smoother so that ships can be not bounced around as much." And so the pilot says, "All right, so we're going to reach the breakwater, and I'm going to give you a hard right turn because the current is going to push you to the left. And just don't panic. Just go ahead, follow the instructions. We'll be fine." And so we come up to the breakwater. He says, "All right, hard right." And hard right is turning the helm 35 degrees to the right. That is all the way over for most ships. Um, and sure enough, we start turning to the right. And I see off in the distance there's another ship coming towards us. And after a while, the ship starts turning to the left. And then we just straighten out. He says, "All right, steady up." And away we went with no craziness whatsoever. But we were shifted over quite a ways going forward, and then we went back, and then kept going.
so now that skill plays into your landlocked time living in South Dakota in the winter, because that's what happens when you drive on black ice.
That's
You
true.
have to be
Except
able to
usually a
shift
lot
and
faster.
ride it out and then just smooth back in.
Hmm. Yeah,
I've
black ice is scary.
the closest I've ever had to being on a big boat is I used to drive a giant Cadillac sedan. So I feel like I understand. You say an increment is a lot in
Hmm.
some vehicles.
Yeah.
When you are on land for your hiatus versus being
Mhm.
at sea, what's your acclimation period? Like, right, going back and forth, like, does your body need to reacclimate to getting your sea legs
Um,
back, getting your land legs back, or is that kind of a myth?
No, I'd say probably for some people it's a myth. For me, or for some people it's probably true. For me, I don't. I get onto the vessel and I know that okay, it's going to be moving around, so I just write it out, let it happen, and I should be fine. I have had a couple occasions where I have needed to take some what's it, Dramamine.
Something for motion sickness. Yeah.
Yeah, just something for motion sickness, but I tend to attribute that to I was in an enclosed space where I couldn't readily see the outside, so my brain was just having a little bit of issue trying to reconcile the motion that I'm feeling moving back and forth and seeing everything in front of me that is not moving.
And I suppose there are times where you're in a ship that it seems counterintuitive to say this, but where you're in an enclosed space where there's not a lot of fresh air.
Um, I guess.
If you're down in the hull,
Hmm.
you're feeling the motion, but you're not like feeling the fresh air and seeing the sky. I,
Yeah,
I imagine that would almost be harder than being on deck.
it it can be a little bit. Although I guess it depends on how high up the deck is. Going back to the car carriers, they've got a lot of freeboard, so that's the space between the actual water level and the I would say the spot where you can actually traverse a deck on out in the open. And car carriers tend to have, I'd say, about 7 or 8 decks where it's just freeboard, and the remaining 4 decks are below the waterline. Um, and because of all that wind surface, I mean, just think of like a big semi truck.
Right.
A car carrier is more or less like that, just supersized.
Yeah.
With all that surface area, you've got a lot of space for wind to push on, and that's going to cause a whole lot of stress for the people inside. So, uh, yeah, while you might not have immediate access to outside air to have regular breathing habits, or I guess not regular breathing habits, but yeah, you're not breathing fresh air to clear your head. The only times that you might get that is when a door up top opens or whatever to allow someone in, and you get that little refreshing breeze for a split second. Um,
With the different kind of ships that I really someday should learn to write these questions down. I just let things come into my head. But
oh, either way is fine.
and I've asked you so many questions, so I actually know the answer to some of these. But with
Mhm.
one of the things I didn't know that I've asked you before is, do you get to pick what ships you go on, and how do you find your placements? And and what if you're offered one? Are you able to like pick and choose and refuse, or
Mhm.
do you get to wake up and go, you know what, next month I want to sail around Cape Horn, and so here I'm going to find that? How does that work?
So kind of all the above. Uh, so predominantly when I've been getting my ships, I go to my union hall and I say, so the personal criteria that I'm looking for this next ship needs to have these couple things, and that tends to be what ship have I already been on. So I can say I don't want to be on that one this time just to get a change of pace. I
Right.
right now don't really have a favorite type of ship that I've been on, but it's just I want to see how this other type of ship works. So I'll try to find ships that are of that type. So, say for example, on let's see, one ship that I was on was a cable layer. So a lot of ships, or a lot of the internet actually runs through cables that are beneath the ocean surface for
Mhm.
miles and miles and miles. The ship I was on could run cable from the east coast of the U.S. all the way over to at least England. It might even just be Europe in general.
Yeah.
It had that much capacity for fiber optic cable. Um,
That has to
and
that has to weigh so much.
yeah,
Like the
and
science of figuring out how much can we have and still float.
yeah, and the the big part of that is you just try to make sure that whatever is floating is a sealed environment. You don't want to have any unwanted holes, otherwise it's going to leak and or the vessel is going to sink.
Right.
But going back to that ship on the Dependable, I decided, okay, I've been on 2 cruise ships. I've been on a cement barge. I've been on 2 car carriers. What type of ship have I not been on yet? I've not been on a container ship. So I'm going to see if I can find ships that are container ships on the job board and see if they're hiring. So I went to my hall and I look and see whatever ships are hiring for my position. I look for deck AB, or ABW is typically the initials I'm looking for, AB watch standard. Otherwise, ABM is maintenance, and they primarily do maintenance tasks. They don't stand watch unless there's a crew shortage for some reason. But I go to the hall and I say, okay, so there are these couple container ships. Where do they all go? This one goes back and forth between the East Coast and Europe. This one goes from West Coast to Hawaii and back. This one goes from Florida down to the Caribbean. You know what? I don't mind doing the East Coast to Europe run, so I select that ship. If they figure that I would be a good fit, they send me paperwork. I fill it out, and within ideally a week, they say, "All right, so we've got flight information for you to meet the ship at this spot." But
that's my favorite question. Is when I wondered if for anybody not from South Dakota that's watching this, in Sioux Falls, we are home of the Big Sioux River, and we're famous for our falls. And
they are pretty falls.
What?
They are pretty falls.
They are pretty falls, and we are also close to the middle of our state, where the Missouri River is cuts through the middle of our state. And my first landlocked question was, how does the ship come to pick you up, Tim? Does it come up the river? Do you have to kayak to the sea? What happens? But apparently you take a plane. Okay.
Yes. Yep. Most ships I've gotten to via plane. I have been able to reach a couple from driving. The 2 cement barges that I've been on, I drove up to because they were. I met both of them in Michigan, and from my parents' place in Lafayette, that's just a couple-hour drive. There's no need for me to fly that way.
Yeah, you told me you had been on boats that you've been on, like, was it Lake Superior?
That's where one of the ships did go to frequently. Yeah.
So not everything is out in the great ocean, but I think people forget that we have gigantic lakes like that in North America that have very large working ships on them.
Oh yeah, and the Great Lakes, if you look at them, they are practically seas in their own right.
Right.
Offhand, I don't know how big they are compared to the Mediterranean, but I mean, they're big.
Yeah.
And with the canal network,
like in the wintertime, they have
got icebreakers.
Severe effects. Yeah, that it could be comparable to what we see in parts of the oceans.
Oh yeah.
So, and they have sea monsters. There are lake monsters too. I believe in them as well.
Oh, I personally haven't seen Nessie out there, but that's not to say Nessie isn't there.
Right. That doesn't mean Nessie didn't see you.
Exactly. I might just been looking in the wrong direction at the wrong time.
Exactly. How does your family feel about you taking a job that takes you all over the world, takes you away from home?
I'd say they're all for it. When my parents were young, my dad traveled over to Switzerland, kind of sort of in defiance of his parents, or at least his mother. And he did a whole bunch.
I'm a mother hen. Like, I want to keep all my little chicks right here. And that I do think it's got to be easier in this world of technology where you can be connected. But like, do you have Wi-Fi in the middle of the ocean?
It depends on the ship. Some ships I've gone on and they don't have Wi-Fi. Some ships I've gone on and either I need to make sure to limit my internet usage, or they might even say you have to pay for the Wi-Fi, or they might be good and not have a Wi-Fi limitation whatsoever. I've been in all of those circumstances. I typically try to prepare as if I'm not going to have Wi-Fi whatsoever, because I don't feel overly reliant on the internet. I mean, nowadays, internet is part of everyone's life to some degree. But whenever I see people that I'm working with and they're going, I can't access my Facebook, I can't contact my friends, and I'm just going, I've got a book on my phone that I
Right.
downloaded years ago. I don't need to connect to the internet. They go, what are you doing? So, I'm on my phone reading.
Reading a
How do you
book.
have signal? I don't.
Yeah. And
Um,
that's why you're the guy that saw the manta rays and probably somebody else missed it. And I mean,
Probably.
and that's true in the whole world. There's probably so many things people are missing looking down at their phones, and you're electing to do a job where our phones aren't part of it, or the internet isn't part of it. And
Mhm.
that's really cool. We've talked a little bit before about what your long-term goal is with this job, and I think it is such an honorable plan, and why you're trying to experience as many kinds of ships and experience as you can. Can you talk a little bit about what your long-term goal is?
Sure. It was an out of the blue comment that a navmate asked me same sort of question. What are you looking to get out of this? And I said, I don't know, captain of a hospital ship. And unknowingly to me at the time, that thought stuck with me
Mm-hmm.
really hard. And this was before I joined the union that I'm with right now. Before I truly became a full-blown merchant sailor. And uh, on my various notepads, I would doodle a hospital ship, typically an aircraft carrier with a Health Plus sign on it,
Mm-hmm.
to signify to me that I'd like to have some old aircraft carrier that I could bring large amounts of people on board to help them out in a medical fashion as much as I could. Now that goal is being morphed a little bit, still captain of a hospital ship, but it might be that I join a particular association that already has hospital ships that go around to sail and help the world. Or I could find, yeah, or I could find my own and stick with my original goal to some degree, and find maybe a used cruise ship that's on the chopping blocks or whatever, and try to save it before anything drastic is done. Get
Mm-hmm.
the interior redone to be turned into a hospital setting, and not have to rely on any particular organization's decrees of what we can and cannot do. I
Right.
want to help people. I don't care how I get there. I don't care uh, really who I bring along with me, as long as they have the skill and the
Can
mentality
I
to.
recommend Professor Jason Statham from the action series, The Meg 1 and 2? I think you should reach out to him.
Maybe I will. But yeah, that's my ultimate goal: captain of a hospital ship. And I've already uh, I've already done close to, was it 2019 was when I became a full blown AB. Um, so 6 years as an AB, it's taken me to get to this point where hopefully next year I'll be taking my officer training. So I'll be taking training to become a third mate and second mate. Um, I'm hoping to do a little extracurricular studies as well in regards to some things that most mates probably don't know. Dynamic positioning system is one that just seems like a whole lot of fun,
Mm-hmm.
where that is keeping the ship in place, despite the wind, despite the current.
Like learning how to hover a helicopter
More or less, yeah.
with
I
float.
hadn't thought of that, but yeah, that's a good parallel. Um, because, for example, back to that cable layer, um, if we're trying to find a cable that is 3 or 4 miles down below, we don't have a camera attached to our dredging anchor. I know I'm not using the correct terminology for
Mm-hmm.
that, but we're basically just dragging a specialized anchor along the ocean floor and just trying to get a whole bunch of tension onto it so that we can say we've got something,
Right.
and then haul it up. And once we bring it up, we see that, okay, it's the fiber optic cable we were looking for, or no, that was someone else's anchor that we just picked up. How did that get out here?
How many refrigerators can there be at these coordinates?
Well, there's probably a couple where the Titanic sank.
Probably something, yeah.
Probably.
Um, so now that I know somebody can live in South Dakota, like I said, fully landlocked,
Mm,
we're very far from any border. As much as some people would have you believe that we're part of Border Patrol, we're really far away from any borders, really far away from any big water.
Hmm.
Now that I know somebody could live here and have a job like that that takes them around the world and exposes them to skills and adventure, how would, if some young person here said, you know what, I think I want to be a sailor from South Dakota,
Hmm.
how do they start in that career?
My recommendation, based on my experience, would be to go to Piney Point, up in Maryland. That's where the Seafarers International Union training facility is. Um, and you go through, I think at this point now, it's a three-phase process where you start off as an apprentice there at the school, learning the various ins and outs of ships in general, getting a basic understanding of them. And then you, second phase, go onto a ship for a set amount of time. I want to say currently, I think it's about 60 days, in your specific department that you choose. And then phase three is going back to Piney Point for more specialized training as a capable sailor of that department.
Mm-hmm.
My training back in 2017 to 2019 was 5 phases, with just expanding on each of those parts a little bit. But that would be my immediate recommendation, because then you get the experience of being all over the ship. You're not given a huge amount of responsibility. You still have to be responsible for the tasks that you're given. But if something goes wrong, usually it's not something severe enough that's going to be catastrophic to the ship.
Okay.
Um, there's
Yeah, I
still,
wouldn't want to be the guy that sunk everybody.
yeah, or the person who set the ship on fire. I've been on a couple ships. Let's see, one
I bet
ship.
I bet fire is a very real risk because of the various things on there.
Oh
And
yeah,
and it would be hard to imagine being surrounded by water and dying in a fire.
yeah, and not only that, but if you do happen to put the fire out with all the water, you have to get the water off the ship next.
Right.
Um, so, that being the case, might I ask you a question in return?
Hmm.
Where do you think the most common spots for a fire might be on a ship?
Is it powered by coal still?
Not all of them. Um,
I guess I would assume in the engine area.
in the entry room, that is a spot that we train for. Typically, the places that we consistently train for are the laundry room and the kitchen.
Oh, well, yeah, I suppose a kitchen fire. I would not have guessed laundry room, but
Hmm.
yes, lint. Like that's. I was trying to think. I guess I was thinking of it in a mechanical way, but I suppose you do have to think of it in the way of like a house. What are the
Yeah,
parts of your house that are running all the time that are also fire risks? And yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
laundry, lint, and cooking fires.
Hmm. And because we're the only ones who can rely upon ourselves, or we're the only ones out at sea that we can rely upon.
Yeah, you can't
But
call for somebody.
nope. I mean, if you're close to shore, then maybe let the local Coast Guard know what the situation is, so that they can bring help to support while we're fighting the fire.
Evacuation more than putting out the fire, probably by that time.
Yeah. But in the moment, everyone on board is trained in firefighting safety, and everyone has a job that they need to do in order to help keep the ship safe and the crew safe. So typically, one of the things that I might be called upon to do is I might be the one dressed up in the fire suit with the oxygen bottle on my back, and I'm going in with the fire hose to fight the fire. Um, I could be called up to the bridge and told, okay, your post is up here. You are to make sure that we have a watchstander on the bridge, in case the watchstander who was up there during his watch has to go down and be the one to put on the fire suit.
Oh wow.
Um,
That's a lot of things to process, and you have to have the mindset of run in and not run from. You have to
mhm.
already be pre-programmed to be the helper, not watch for the helper.
Oh yeah, that,
So
that was that was one big thing in training at Piney Point that I actually really appreciated, or two parts of the firefighting training in particular. One where every one of the students and the instructors donned their firefighting suits, and we went into, I guess I'm just going to call it the hay room, because that's basically what it was. Um, we all just piled into, all uh, dozen of us, I think, roughly at that time, or a little more with the instructors, um, all piled into this. hay room that had a whole shelf, metal shelf with just a huge pile of hay on it, probably covered in gasoline or some sort of accelerant. And as we went in, we were all told to remember a number that we were given. And the instructor is going over all the various things about the difference in temperature between it's really hot up here, it's going to be cooler down here, even if it is still about 200 degrees. It's going to be 4 more
Above.
100 up here. And so he lit the haystack on fire. We
Ah!
watched it burn.
I knew that part was coming, and it was good. I'm scared just hearing the story.
We could feel the difference in temperature when he told us to, all right, everyone crouch down. Now everyone stand up. You can feel the multiple 100-degree temperature difference between two. And then when we went out, we all had to call out the number that we were given initially. And
Just
that was...
shocked it out of your brain?
Yeah, more or less.
And
there
so
was...
if you didn't know your number, did you fail?
I'm not sure. I think that probably would have been... I think what might have happened was they might have reset and had the either individual or maybe the whole class go back in and just do it again. I didn't have that sort of repeat happen to me, so I can't say for certain.
So you and your guys passed.
Yes.
We're going to assume, because you're out at sea now.
I'm out at sea. I try to keep a cool head whenever I'm putting on the fire suit, because I know if I panic, one, if I've got the bottle on, that's going to eat up my O2 a lot faster than if I'm not. Right. And that was exemplified to me during the training back at Piney Point, where one of the things we're also supposed to do is try to find people who might have been trapped in a smoke-filled room.
Oh, yeah.
And we have to get down on all fours, crawl around, and with, I want to say it's our right hand, whichever hand is not up against the wall to keep us knowing where we are, we have to reach out with the opposite hand and feel around until we find a leg or an arm or something.
Because I suppose some of you are tasked to save people and other people are tasked, and I think this would be very hard. There are probably other people that it's like, you're not here to save people, you have to save the boat or we're all gone.
Sort of, yes. When the fire alarm goes off, everyone is supposed to muster at their muster station. So if there's someone who's missing, then we know, okay, where's the last likely place they were supposed to be? And, well, if they're in I think typically the moral thing that we would want to do is save the person. But if the fire is in a massive blaze, we can't really afford to go for them. I mean, one big thing for, say, someone, not necessarily fire situation, but in a contained space, in an enclosed space, where an enclosed space is a place that a person is not normally supposed to be in. So maybe the bilge or any area like that. And someone happens to fall in, break their leg or something, and they can't get out easily anymore. And during that time, they pass out. If they happen to pass out because of gas down there, and we don't have a sensor down there to see what the problem was that might have caused them to pass out, and we just dive in, we just send another person to have that same problem.
Right.
And so it's going to take us more time to suit up and try to go down and rescue a person, hopefully, or a body, unfortunately, also possible.
Right.
But I think the general logic is you want to save people if you can, but if you have to save the ship first, saving the ship will lead to saving the people.
Right, right. And we'll save the other rescuers. Because like you said, you're it.
Yeah. And there's only most cargo ships only have about 24-ish people on them at a time.
Even though they're the size of like a small town.
Yeah. Even the big ones that might be 350 meters long, they might only have about 24 people. I know most cargo ships I've been on have that average number of crew. I don't know if other countries have less or more. The ships where you'll find more crew members on are going to be where there's a lot more people in general. So cruise ships are going to have a lot of...
need staff to take care of the tourists.
Yeah. you have to have.
Oh, probably a problem. That's probably more work than any other kind of ship.
I mean, you're basically just running a hotel. It just happens to move a lot.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, we're coming to the end of our hour. I still have
well,
lots of questions. That went so fast. So I'm definitely probably going to make you sit down when you come back because you're getting ready to go out to sea, and you'll be out to sea for several months.
I don't know exactly when or where I'm going to be heading out next. I know that my next ship that I'm going to be going to, which I haven't found all the information for yet, but they've been telling me that I'm going to be going out to the East Coast to pick it up late September, early October, and I need to also get some extra sea time after that, since that's theoretically just a short contract. So,
right.
2 ships between now and probably early January at the latest, hopefully, because I need to make sure I have enough buffer time for classes, which I'm going to treat as being on a ship.
Right.
No rum for me during that.
Yeah. No rest for the wicked.
No rest for the wicked.
Well, thank you so much for telling me about this, and I just think it's so interesting to me that the idea that people live all over the country and have jobs like that. I would have felt like you would have a coastal residence. So
that was one thing I was looking at, and I like to say when I ended up moving out to Sioux Falls, I was looking for either a coastline to live on or a mountain range to live on, and I missed.
Yeah,
happily missed.
But you're super close. I mean, we're not far from mountains.
That's true.
And if you lay very still by the falls, you can pretend.
I could pretend that I'm on the coastline. Yeah.
It is not really that tall, but yeah. And if you wanted to go full Huck Finn and just kayak down to the ocean, you could do it from here.
Oh yeah, the Missouri. Doesn't that lead all the way to the Caribbean at least?
I think it'll get you as much farther than any other. So I do love crossing the big river. It is beautiful. And that is the largest body of water I've ever experienced. So which is like a piece of dental floss compared to what you've experienced. So, well, thank you, Tim. And
thank you.
Man, I just wish you the safest travels and everything. I can't wait for you to come back and tell us all about where you ended up. Sure. I know we were just talking the other night with some of our friends, and 2 of us were like, we are too type A for this. We would need to know exactly where we're going. We would need to know how many pairs of shoes to bring. I would have to overpack.
I did just getting through a bunch of packing. I think I need to grab a few more items from Walmart maybe to just make sure that I'm all squared away as best as possible. But yeah, knowing what to pack is always a good thing to be ready for, because ships might not have all the PPE I need.
Right. And you'll have to get a copy of Moby Dick. I can't believe you haven't read that yet.
I've got a copy of Moby Dick, or rather my father does. I just haven't gotten around to reading it yet. I did read Mutiny on the Bounty. That was fascinating.
Oh, wow. Did you read it while you were at sea or while you were on land?
I did read that while I was on my first actual ship, not as an AB. I was just an online deckhand or online hired deckhand. But I was reading that in my off time, and that was a good book.
Did that make you side-eye everybody and be like, how would they go if there was a mutiny?
A little bit, but not necessarily for the...
Who do I want to stand next to if stuff goes down?
Yeah. I mean, right. we fortunately had a good crew, but yeah.
Well, thank you, Tim. I'm going to sign you off now.
Okay,
ahoy, mate.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, how do you say goodbye? Ahoy is hello. What's a goodbye phrase on the sea?
I'd say weigh anchor, maybe. And that's
weigh
when
anchor?
Weigh anchor. That's when we're bringing the anchor up. It's you could say it's being weighed and just getting it ready so that we can start departing. Not necessarily a goodbye, but it's close as I can come up with.
Bon voyage, I suppose, would work.
Bon voyage. There you go.
Bon voyage. Well, bon voyage, Tim. Sail safely.
Thank you. Happy for part 2 anytime.
Yeah, right. Oh, we're going to have a part 2 in January when Tim comes back. We're going to find out all about where he got sent to. I'm already going to make him commit to this. We're going to find out where he got sent to, what he got to see. We didn't even get to talk about has he ever gotten to eat weird food. because I do love food, and I doubt any of these ships have a Taco John's on them. So as always, I'm always looking for more people to talk with. I'm still looking for people from all over South Dakota. I want to hear about your life, your land, the things you love. Email me at 605speaks@gmail.com, and we will set up a time. And this has been a very adventurous hour for me. I'm probably going to go dig out some of my old books and read about being out at sea. Land hoy. Have a good day, everybody.